Hello, everybody, and welcome to another gripping episode of Office Hours, Hot for Teacher. This is episode 18 of Hot for Teacher. Hello. Hi, everybody. If you've never watched this before, if you've wandered in from the jungles of the internet, looking for solace, looking for help, perhaps you have found it here at Hot for Teacher. I'm Adam Coble, noted game dweeb, and also relationship haver. You and I might have that in common. And as a relationship haver, as someone who has had relationships, I've thought about them a great deal, and I've decided that I'm going to share some of that information with you, some of my thoughts and feelings. Actually, relationships are really important to me. It's something that I think about a lot. I think that the way that we interact with each other is something that applies to basically everything else that we do in our life. And this show started as a result of discussing tabletop role-playing games and the way they are a specific form of human relationship engine. And we were talking a lot about relationships in role-playing games. And so I decided, okay, cool. We'll just talk about relationships in general. And much like its parental object, Hot for Teacher is a write-in show. So you're going to be sending me your questions. You did already. You could do it now if you want to. But people have sent in questions, and I'm going to answer 3 of them today. And I do that every time we do one of these episodes. You, my lovely audience, are a big part of this. And so, just like I said on the last episode of Office Hours, we're doing it a little bit differently this time. I've read over the questions, but I haven't really created a sort of syllabus. This is going to be really more of a kind of fireside chat type of deal. So I'm going to answer the questions as best I can. But if you have feedback, if you have thoughts about those questions, if you have points you would like clarified, ask them in chat. We're going to take advantage of the low latency mode that Twitch has put in. You're only about a second or two behind me, depending on your connection, so we can interact a little bit better than usual. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat, and we're just going to talk about the 3 questions that you have submitted. Maybe not you specifically. Now, if you have a question, if you have something you would like to be a topic on a future episode of Hot for Teacher, you can submit those questions to www.adam-coble.com. There's a little Hot for Teacher link in the top. Just click that, fill out the form. You can do so anonymously. You can leave your name. You can leave your cool hacker alias, whichever. That's a form of name. It's fine. And so what I want today to be, if any of these particular questions spark thoughts in your brain, if you're like, oh, that's interesting, either, oh, that's interesting, Adam had a good point, or, oh, what a jackass Adam is. Boy, what a moron. I advise you to take up this conversation with your friends and your loved ones, and if you can manage it, your arch nemesis. Talk about it in your internet communities. Bring up these topics, because conversation, as with role-playing games, is about interaction between people. It's about continuing the spread of information from your brain to other people's brains. That's how we have relationships. We share, we talk, we engage. So do that. Take this advice and use it to better your relationships. So yeah, we're going to be talking about love and friendship and sex stuff and other related quandaries of human interaction. Thank you for coming, everybody. Let's get started with our first question. Our first question comes to us from Matt. Matt says, I'm not usually a cheerful person. Sometimes I'm fine with that, but mostly I'm not. And having a close relationship with me means coming into frequent contact with this not fine facet. As a result, it's very common for the people in those relationships to feel like they have to always be taking care of me. I appreciate it, but I don't like it. Makes me feel uncomfortable, not only because it is patronizing, but it also makes me feel more like a burden than a friend or a love interest. Not to mention the implied power relations I'm definitely not cool with. That said, I'm also very afraid of dealing with it, since I don't want to come off as ungrateful or make it seem like I won't ever want someone's care and attention. Pretty please, Adam, can you help me? So it's coming to us from Matt. Now, everybody in chat who considers themselves not a usually cheerful person, go ahead and just pop up a hand there. Just go. That's cuz man. All right, let me level with you here. So I am not I'm this way too. I can be an energetic person. I can be somebody who is fun to be around. I can be kind, and I can be occasionally cheerful, but mainly my jam is that I'm like just kind of a gloomy little rain cloud. Now, I've learned to cope with that attitude and the fact that most people don't necessarily like being around someone who's gloomy all the time by making it funny. I can make people laugh by being like, yes, everything's the worst. Isn't that funny? I have turned that aspect of myself into a performative thing that I can use to appeal to people. I think I can make people laugh with that. But really, like generally, my vibe tends to be like, yeah, all right, like things are hard, things are kind of brutal, and life is a series of disappointing encounters with doom, and then you die. But you learn to cope, and I think that's sort of what Matt is asking here, because that idea that we are supposed to be happy all the time, and the idea that if we are with someone and they are unhappy, they are failing, and we are failing to make them happy, right? I hate that phrase, right? Like, oh, this is my girlfriend. She makes me so happy. Oh, I've been so happy since we were married. Oh, we've been together for 20 years and we still make each other happy. Nobody can make you happy. That's not anybody's job. It's not even your own job to make yourself happy. Happiness is fucking overrated. It is a single note on a grand scale of emotional notes that make up the glorious symphony of being a human being. Like, yes, happiness is a thing that you can feel, but it should not be your default. So I used to work, I've worked at a number of corporate environments, but there was an agency that I worked for where we would do this thing in the morning where the whole, and I might have shared this story before, where the whole team, my team, would get together with our director, and the director would go around and ask everybody, okay, so today, based on the week so far, based on all your projects that you got going on, how are you 1 to 10? Where are you at 1 to 10? And the rest of my team, and this would be, every meeting would be like this. The rest of the team would be like, oh, I'm an 8. I got some challenges to overcome today, but I'm doing great. I'm a 9. You know what? I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning. I had a big ass coffee, ate a bagel. I'm a 10. Every time it would come to me, I'd be like, I don't know, I'm a 4, 6 maybe. And I'd be like, I'm a 6 out of 10. And they would be like, what's wrong? And I would be like, what do you mean? 5 is neutral. And they'd be like, but everyone else is an 8 or a 9. Roberta is a 10. Why are you only a 6? And I'd be like, 5 is the middle, you fucking dick. I'm a 6. Things are going great. Eat shit. Now I'm a 3 because of this conversation. So like, this is the thing. So what's happened, I think, is that we exist in a culture where this idea that we are supposed to be a 10 all the time makes us feel bad when we're a 7. Suddenly a 7 feels like shit. And if you're a 5, or God forbid you're having a bad day and you're like a 3, you have failed. You have failed in your life. Which is a lie, right? I don't think, and I guess this is what I'm trying to say, is that, Matt, you don't have to be a 10 every goddamn day. If your default feels like you're a 1 because everyone around you is acting like they're a 10, we're all a lot closer. We're all a lot closer to a 5 than we let on, right? Because it's not easy to make friends when you feel like you're a 4 all the time and you're expected to be a 10. So like none of that shit is like real, but the pressure that you might feel to be like a cheerful, fun, exciting, great to be around person all the time is real. That is very real, this pressure. And you and the people that you are in close relationships with, you both feel this pressure around your emotional well-being, right? let's talk about another social script, right? So when a stranger or an acquaintance, or honestly even a friend, says to you, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm fine. I'm doing great. Right? Like there's this idea that to avoid the real discussion, saying, no, I'm good. I'm fine. Right? Because the question being asked isn't what they're not trying to get at that information. It's a ritual that we perform. And so in relationships, there is this distance between what an actual like check-in on someone's well-being looks like, and then this kind of casual maintenance of your ongoing perpetual happiness. So I suppose what I'm really trying to get at for Matt here is that opening statement, I'm not usually a cheerful person. I'm trying to free you from having to feel like you need to be. So I want you to examine that pressure. I want you to examine that pressure and see where it's coming from and recognize that like it's okay to sometimes just like be a bummer and to be like, I'm just not doing great. I'm a 3 today. But I think that the thing here is that when someone says, I'm not doing so good, there is a very explicit expectation that means that the person you are talking to needs to fix it. Now, I'm not saying you're not doing that, right, Matt? You're not saying, and this question clearly lays out, you're not saying like, I'm feeling whatever. I'm not great. I'm not feeling fine today. I'm having a rough day. Fix it. Go and get me an ice cream sandwich, you fuck. That's not what you're saying, right? Like, and I guess there's a nested series of responses here where, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Is like, you don't have to do anything. It's like when someone thanks you and you say, no problem, don't worry about it. Let's not get into that situation where we are engaging each other in an emotional debt system. So everyone is allowed to engage in a relationship the way that they want. And if someone wants to help you feel better, that's okay. They are allowed, but that's their choice. I don't want you to ever feel like you have a gun to their head saying to them, get me the fucking ice cream sandwich. You're not. Your emotional well-being is not a gun, right? It is simply the way that you are every day of your life. That's just a thing that is true about you. No one else is responsible for that except you. Now, if someone wants to offer, if they want to actively consent to volunteering to help you feel better, the conversation should go more like, how are you doing? I'm not doing so good. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is there anything that I can do to help? No, that's okay. I'll be all right. Or no, that's okay. I'll get through it on my own. Or no, I'm not interested in your help. Like it's fine to engage in that way with someone. It's all right to just acknowledge that someone is feeling bad and then not do anything about it. I know that feels weird. I know, because it can feel like you're walking down the street and you've just seen someone get hit by a bus and you're like, hey, I saw you get hit by that bus. How you doing? And they're like, I'm dying. Oh, would you like me to call an ambulance? No, that's fine. I'll just lay here until I die. That's okay. They're allowed. They're allowed to be like, you know what? I'm just going to lay on the street and bleed for a minute. Okay. I guess this is the thing. Like I'm seeing there is a deep-seated script that is being followed with you and your friends. And there's a lot of assumptive behavior going on here that is really hard to break. Now, it's interesting because there is like gender plays into this as well, right? Like a lot of femme-identified people in relationships with masculine-identified people feel like they're required to be emotionally supportive, right? And this can go the other way around, right? Like in a relationship where the femme-identified person is having a bad time and feeling like a bummer, the masculine-identified person in the relationship can feel like it is their job in the relationship to unravel the mystery of the mysterious, upset, emotional femme person. It's deeply, deeply complicated by a lot of different stuff. And you, Matt, and me, and the group of people gathered here today for this episode of Hot for Teacher, we are not going to solve this problem. We're not going to undo all of that script for everyone. But what we can do is we can discuss individually how we ourselves in our relationships can handle that pressure. Now, you specifically called out having a close relationship with you means coming into frequent contact with this not fine facet. That's what you said, right? So these are close relationships. I'm going to assume you're not really worried about strangers trying to take care of you. This isn't a choke situation. So I think it's okay to acknowledge you're not feeling fine. Okay. Again, I'm gonna self-identify with this a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna be vulnerable. This is what I do. This is a thing that I have a hard time with. So when someone says to me, "How are you doing?" sometimes internally I'm like, I'm the worst. Everything fucking sucks. I'm so sad. And instead I'll just like make a joke, or I'll be like, "No, I'm good. How are you doing?" Let's deflect to your feelings. Sometimes I will be like, I just wish I was dead. I want to play video games. I'm not great at being like, hey, no, I could use some help. Because, like you, Matt, I do not like being in a position where I feel like someone else is going out of their way to make me feel better or help me. Both because that's a vulnerable place to be. It sucks. It sucks to feel like, oh, I'm like helpless and I need you. I can't take care of myself. I feel like shit. It's also, like you mentioned, about that power dynamic of being like, you know what? I want to be the person in the relationship who is capable and confident and helping other people. I want to be the one who is stable. And if you are unstable and you need my help, that is always going to be more important to me, because then we don't have to worry about me and if I'm okay, because we're focusing on taking care of you. And then I feel good because I'm helpful, taking care of you. You like me better because I helped you. But I have a really hard time flipping that script and letting other people do that work for me. So what I guess I want to get at there is recognize that for some people, like me, Matt, if you and I were in a relationship, I would take a great deal of value and empowerment from helping you. It's not always about the person who is being taken care of having power over the other, or vice versa. There's an exchange there, and it doesn't always have to be a power game. I think you can address that. I think you can say, like, listen, there's an imbalance of vulnerability in our relationships, and I get that that's there. Can we address and talk about that? And I think you can do that across the board with your whole relationship, right? You can acknowledge this stuff. You can be clear about it. I think what you're saying here right now, this being brave with me, Matt, is really, really valuable. And I think that you should take a lot of encouragement from the fact that even semi-anonymously on the internet, because you could be one of a billion Matts, I think you could absolutely take this same approach with the people that are close to you. Because as you said, they are close relationships, which means there's a degree of trust there. So you can say to someone, hey, like, I have a hard time because I'm not, like, you seem happy all the time. You seem so happy, and I'm like bummed out a lot. And you feel this need to make me feel better, and I would like to feel better maybe, but I'd also like to just like engage this honestly. Yeah, that's a real fact. 1 in 7 people on Earth are called Matt. Look around you. Look to your left. Look to your right. One of those people's name is Matt. The idea here is addressing power dynamics, addressing imbalance is the first step towards diffusing them, right? Acknowledgement of a thing is the very first step towards working on making it better. I think it is absolutely possible that you could be in a situation where other people are taking care of you and helping you out and making you feel better, Matt. But you can also push back. You can also say, I don't always need help, and I would like to help you, and I would like to unfuck the balance of this situation. So, you know, when it comes down to it, the real answer to this question, and I know that it feels like a cop-out because this is the same answer that I give to fundamentally every single question, but like, talk about it, Matt. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with the people that love you, because they love you. They care about your feelings. So like, just say, hey, this is the thing. I'm feeling a little bit weird about this power dynamic. I'm feeling maybe a little guilty about my relationship with you because I feel like you are doing a lot of emotional labor for me. I would like to change that, or like get a better understanding together of how you feel. Invite them to share and acknowledge that there is a degree of stuff that is present in your relationship that nobody has any real control over, that exists externally and pressures both of you, all of you, into feeling like someone needs to be the person being taken care of. I think that I would really love to like validate your feelings here if I haven't enough already, but like, I feel you. You don't have to be happy all the time. It's okay. Feeling good is fine when it happens, and feeling bad is fine too, and you want to try to avoid feeling bad, but like, don't let those things break your relationships. Talk to people about how you're feeling, not just about whether you're feeling good or bad, but how you're feeling about how you're feeling. This idea of having meta conversation about our relationships and about our feelings in those relationships, that to me feels very important. So yeah, you are under a lot of social pressure. So is the person taking care of you. And it's totally cool in a moment of feeling like, when you're feeling okay, when you're a 5, right? Next time you're feeling like you're a 5, sit down with these people you're in relationships with and be like, yo, here's how I'm feeling. And you know what? Read this verbatim to them if that feels too scary to just like wing it. So I guess in conclusion, like, it's okay not to be happy all the time. It's cool to be a 5 out of 10 if that's how you feel. Be real with your feelings. Be real with the people that you care about. Let them be real with you, and then just like lay it out and talk about it. And hopefully they will understand that it is not a requirement for either of you to like make you a 10 every day. Because ultimately when it comes down to it, if we think about it, if you're a 10 every goddamn day, how the fuck are you ever going to get any better? If you can acknowledge that your default is 5, it makes a 7 or an 8 feel pretty fucking good. I gotta say. Find your victories where you can find them. Appreciate the small stuff. Talk about your feelings. So, our second question comes to us from Jane. Jane has a question for us. Jane would like to know about other people's opinions. So, Jane says, I'd like to hear your thoughts and advice on something that might seem strange to ask on a show about relationships. I'm in my early 30s. Oh my God, I'm almost not in my early 30s. No, this isn't about me. Quiet, Adam. I'm in my early 30s, and I've never been in any sexual or romantic relationship. I've spent years agonizing about it, trying to meet someone, failing again and again, but finally, I've come to feel like I don't actually need such a relationship. I have deep, meaningful friendships with people I hold very dear, but for whom I don't feel any romantic or sexual attraction. That doesn't mean I don't want a romantic or sexual relationship with someone, and I keep looking for such a person, but over the last couple of years, my inner pressure has lifted, and I am happy with me and my life, feeling like I don't necessarily need a partner to feel complete or happy. Now, my problem is the pressure from outside, from family and some of my friends who think that because my lack of romantic relationships and sexual experience, something must be wrong with me, and that I must suffer from terrible loneliness. So, I'd like to hear your thoughts on someone in my position and the stigma that is placed upon them by society and the people around them. And maybe you have some advice, what I can tell people who worry about me, but just don't seem able to understand that I don't need a partner to be happy, without simply telling them to fuck off. Jane, my dear, simply tell them to fuck off. I like how Jane called me right out, right? Jane called me right out on this. Like, Jane was like, Adam is just going to tell me to tell them to go fuck themselves. Jane knows what's up. So, I mean, okay. Let's unpack that a little. You don't literally have to tell the people that love and care about you to climb up their own ass. Like you could, I guess. That's maybe what I would do. But you're not me, and maybe you aren't a relationship nihilist who thinks that relationships are not the de facto state that people need to be in. But really, though, like, you can find another way to tell them to eat shit and die, right? I mean, maybe you don't want them to die, but the point here is that, like, they're in your business. They're in your business, and they have no right to be in your business. They think they know what's best for you because they have their own script that they're running from, and they want you to run on that script too. Because, and I'm not saying your friends are doing this consciously, but because that script reinforces everyone who is already following it, right? God, this is going to seem so cynical, but you being happy in a way that they are not being happy can, to certain people who are sensitive to these kinds of things, make them feel like they are being happy wrong. Right? Does that make sense? So, like, okay. To be happy, if you would like to be happy, you must have a husband, have sex with your husband, have babies with that husband, live in a big house, have a car or two, go on vacations, be friendly with your in-laws, have a compelling career, make a shit ton of money. None of that is true. None of it. Like, some of those things might make some people happy, but there isn't one golden path from the shitty realm of lonely poorness to the glorious white capitalist North American horseshit heaven, right? Like, there are lots and lots of different ways to be a person that is satisfied and happy. Obviously, this is just fucking clear. I'm just saying it so that we can establish a baseline. Now, imagine that's all you have ever heard your whole life. Imagine that's all anyone ever told you. Okay? Imagine you grew up striving for these things, desperate to get married, but not too old, have your first baby by a certain age, have your second baby before your first baby gets too old, buy a car, buy a house, get a job, die, whatever. You're striving for these things according to a very strict script. And maybe along the way, you were like, ugh, this is hard, and I'm not having a good time. Like, this hurts. This is hurting me. Maybe I should deviate from this. No, I will struggle. I will endeavor. I will endure, and I will do this thing that maybe in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe this isn't the best for me. Maybe I don't love my husband. Maybe I don't want to live in a big house. Maybe this sucks. But I'm going to do it anyway. And then your friend Jane comes along. And your friend Jane is like, you know what? I got a job. maybe. I got great friends. I'm not really that into like, I'm not prioritizing sex and romance, but I'm still really happy. I'm feeling great. My life is good. Maybe you're going to look at Jane's life and be like, fuck. Okay. So now I have a choice. I can either accept Jane's happiness as an alternate plan and deal with my own uncertainty about my own life, or I can just convince Jane that no, she's wrong. You're wrong, Jane. Get your shit together, Jane. You fuck up. You're not really happy. You're just pretending to be happy. You're not happy like me with my beautiful husband and my children, which I've never considered drowning before. So I suppose, Jane, when approaching your friends to tell them as politely and gently as you can to fuck right off, consider that internally they might also be struggling. Like if they have followed a different narrative than you, it's possible that they've got some internalized stuff about following their own path that they are projecting onto you. I'm not saying everyone is like this. I think also probably some of your friends just like see you living differently than they do, and they're like, yo, maybe you could maybe it would be better for you if you did it this other way. But like someone who is really your friend is not going to judge your happiness, right? They are willing to and should be, I think, ready to question it. But like, honestly, if you have a friend who's like really happy and they're happy in a way that you don't like, please do not be a bad friend and needle them about it, right? Like, okay, let's make an RPG analogy. I don't really like Pathfinder very much. I just don't. I don't like it. It's not a game for me. It's just not a game I like or want to play. It's not fun. I would not enjoy it. However, when I see someone on the internet be like, "Wow, Pathfinder is awesome. I love it. It's so fun. I'm having a great time with my friends playing Pathfinder." I'm not going to be like, "Fuck you. Shut up, you're wrong. You should play story games. Have you played Fiasco? Just shut up, Pathfinder." Like, no, like it's what kind of jackass has to live their life like that? Who is this person that is like this? God, you know, people love things and it may to us not make any sense that they like it, but that's just like your friends just need to let you live your life. So how do you do that? How do you help them? How do we encourage people to let us live our life? I would sit down with your friends, Jane, the next time they feel the need to admonish you for your choices. And I would say, "Hey, I'm really happy. I'm like Roberta up in this piece. I'm having a 10 of a time right now. And I'm happy without anyone to regularly mash parts together with. And I am happy without anyone to cohabitate with. I'm just having a hell of a time. My life is great." And when they say to you, "Yeah, but couldn't it be like, you could be an 11, right? We could dial that notch up a little. Like, wouldn't you love a boyfriend? Wouldn't you love 10 boyfriends? Come on. Wouldn't that be awesome for you?" You can be like, "No, we're good. I'm fine. I don't need you to help me ascend the Everest of happiness. I'm good where I'm at. Things are okay. Stop. I don't need you to help me." And that might be hard for them to hear because some people take value in relationships in like trying to help out, trying to solve problems, trying to like fix things, and they may see that you have a problem. They may patronizingly think that you have a problem you don't even see. They may be like, oh, you think you're a 10, but you're really a 3, right? But I think that you can just straight up open up with people and be like, look, I am, this is the nicest way to tell someone to fuck off, right? To be like, I am already so happy. And if you really want to sugarcoat it, you can be like, you know why I'm happy? Because of caring friends like you. And then they're going to be like, aw, thanks. And you're like, yeah, see? Don't devalue yourself. That's how you judo that shit. The point here is that nobody gets to tell you how to be happy or tell you that you're not happy enough, right? That sucks. That's a shitty way to be. Don't let anybody do that to you. Feel like your happiness is your own responsibility, and that's okay. You can handle it. I trust you, Jane. You are in your early 30s. You have lived a significant amount of years. You know yourself. You know what you need. And someday, if you find somebody that you want to do the nasty with on the regular, cool. And if you meet somebody that you want to put a ring on it, also cool. But like, you don't need to. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. To all of the Jane's friends in the world, to all of the Jane's friends who are like, no, there is a single uniform path. You must play the only game there is. There are no other games. And if you are trying to deviate from that path, you are failing. I'll say it for Jane. Climb up your own ass, okay? Nobody needs to hear your opinion. Care about people's happiness by letting them determine what makes them happy. If your friend said to you, getting punched in the nose makes me really happy, you could be like, I'm concerned that it may be harmful to your face, and I like your face, but like, your face is your own belonging. Do what you got to do, all right? Whether that means having 0 boyfriends or 10 boyfriends, either way. Again, just like the first question, right? Just like our question from Matt, there is this externalized pressure on everybody, right? There is everybody in this situation that is being pressured to behave a certain way. And I feel that. That's hard for everyone. Whatever you do, Jane, however you move forward in your life, however you interact with your friends, I want you to know that if you are happy, that's good enough. Don't let anybody else undermine your happiness, because you're in charge. You're in charge of your own shit, right? You got this, Jane. I believe in you. It sounds like you have your shit together. I will say, there is a complication here, and that is parental pressure. So, this is a thing, right? We talked about friends, but I did want to touch upon family. I don't want to touch upon your family. You keep your family away from me. But I wanted to touch upon family and the way that pressure is different, because sometimes when Mumsy and Dadsy come to you and they say, Jane, darling, I don't know, apparently you're like upper class English people now. Jane, darling, don't you think it's about time that you were wed and had a baby to carry on the line? Apparently I'm allergic to bullshit. Sometimes your parents will come to you and they will be like, we think that it's for you. It's the best for you if you got married and had a baby and whatever. That's not about you, Jane. That is almost always internalized stuff that like, well, I had a baby. Her name was Jane. And I would like Jane to have a baby. You're going to miss out on all the joys of parenthood. You're going to have, I would love, don't you want me to be your dear, I don't want to be a grandpapa. Come on, we're getting old here. Parental pressure to carry on the lineage like we're some kind of fucking medieval house, right? You're not Jane of House Lannister here. You can tell them like, no, you made your choices for your life, and like, yo, thanks for squirting me out and making sure I didn't die. But like, I don't owe you that in my life. I'm going to live my own life. And you lived your life. And that's how it's going to go. And that might upset them, right? That might be frustrating to them. Because I think that, again, getting advice from your parents, like, you need to have a kid by the time you're 30. If you're 40, it's probably too late. Well, what will you do? What will you do when your kid is 30 and you're 90, right? Math. But the idea here is just that, like, there's reasons. Everybody thinks that they have a reason to try to pressure you into behaving a certain way. And I think you should just tell all of them to take a fucking seat. And you can do that in a nice way. But remember, you're happy. What the fuck else can anybody say? Our last question, and this one's a doozy because I don't actually have an answer. I really just don't have an answer for this. This is going to be so good. I picked this one explicitly because we can all talk about how... All right, well, let me just get to it. You ready? Here we go. Our question comes from a shitty flirt. Sorry, a really shitty flirt. How do I get better at flirting and figuring out when I'm being flirted with? I always seem to get in these situations where I think I'm not flirting, but then a friend will tell me I am, or think I'm flirting really hard and people don't notice at all. On the other hand, I'm super oblivious when someone is flirting with me or not, which leads to conversations about misaligned relationships, which is good because they're communication, but they can get pretty annoying from a really shitty flirt. So, I think chat right now is really like, you're feeling it. A lot of us feel this way. There's a lot of like, it, me, my life. This sounds familiar. Yeah. I will say, from my perspective, for me in my life, I'm pretty good at communicating to someone that I like them, but I do not know how I managed to get there from where I am when I don't know them. I sometimes find myself from like, oh, yeah, they get it. Like, I think they're cute and maybe we should make out. And I don't, how did this happen? I have a really hard time telling when someone is being friendly versus when they're like, I would like to be friendly with your genitals. It's fuck. I don't. So let's talk about flirting as a thing. What is the purpose of flirting? Why do we flirt? What is this thing that we do? So flirting, as I understand it, is a thing that human beings do when they want to tell someone they want to engage in coitus with them, or think they're cute, or they want to communicate some degree of like surreptitious something or other. They want to attract you or I don't even fucking know what the point is. But anyway, the idea here is that you're not saying the thing that you want to be saying, and you are playing a game where you don't say the thing, and you find these like particular ways to not say it that actually are saying it by like body language and squirting pheromones or something. I don't fucking know. It's a weird mating ritual in which we don't actually communicate what we're trying to communicate with people. We have decided that it is not okay to just be like, hey, you're really cute. I think you're great. Yeah, and I think Bunny Wise points out in chat that there are other forms of non-sexual, non-romantic flirting where you're just trying to like pump somebody up. but not in a sex way. You're just trying to be like I think straight people can flirt with straight people of the same gender. I think straight men and straight women can flirt with each other and have it not be a sexual thing. I think you can definitely do that. I think that there is flirting in job interviews. I think there's flirting in all kinds of human interaction where you're trying to like let somebody know that you think that they're great, but you're not allowed to say it. And in this way, I actually really don't like flirting as a social construct because I think that two things happen. I think that it undermines consent and communication. I think that sometimes it undermines the idea that we can consent to things. This is the like, well, we were flirting so much, that's why I tried to kiss you and grab your butt. Like, you were obviously flirting with me. Like, it can undermine consent. There is this mythological stratum of, well, obviously this because flirting, or obviously that because flirting. So I don't like it for that. And I also think it's really exclusionary of people who might not be neurotypical, right? Like, I think that because it relies so heavily on eye contact and body language and non-direct horseshit, if you are not, it's designed by and for neurotypical people. And so if you are not that, guess what? You are excluded from the flirt train. You're not allowed. The flirt train is only for people who are able to communicate their feelings and emotions and pick up on the feelings and emotions of other people without actually discussing any of it. You should already know how to detect that. And if your flirt detector is broken, get out. Get off the bus. It's a bus now. So I guess what I really want to do here is say flirting is fun and cool sometimes for some people. Flirting is something that you can do if you like it and it is fun, and if it is something that the people you are flirting with also like and want to be a part of. But I do not think that we should consider it to be the default expectation that we should all be good at this. I don't think that you need to be good at it to be in relationships. I really, really like when people are direct with me. I think it is my favorite. That is the flirting I like. The flirting that I like is when people are like, "You're really cute." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Thanks." Right? That stuff is great. I like it when people are like, "I think it would be really cool if I would love to smooch you. That would be awesome." And then I can be like, "Oh, yeah." Or like, "Oh, thanks." But like, not so much about that. The thing with flirting is that it's a chase. It is a form of pursuit and defense. It's this thing we do to not have to admit what we actually feel until we're already like inside somebody. Ugh, that's gross. But it is, right? Like it's so that we can avoid being direct. And I think that we should just learn to be better at talking about it and hearing what other people feel and think about flirting, right? And like it's a communication style. You want to learn how the people that you are flirting with, like how they like to flirt and like how they respond to these things. And ultimately it all boils down to good consent practice, right? It boils down to getting comfortable with and demythologizing, deromanticizing this weird, awkward indirectness that we have with people. I think it's totally cool to be like, time out. Are you flirting with me? And then they're going to get all blushy and be like, yeah, I was. Or be like, oh, no, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm being friendly. This is a thing. And then be like, okay, cool. Time in. Let's keep talking. Right? To be able to just be like that. I think that, yeah, we try to defend ourselves with flirting. I think Panic has a really great point here. The indirect nature gives us plausible deniability, because if you're never sure if someone's flirting with you, if they're failing to flirt, you don't, there's no one's feelings get hurt there because we're all so scared of being like, hey, I think you're really cute. Do you think I'm cute? Oh, no, you know what? I don't think you're cute. I think you're fun and smart and I'm enjoying this conversation, but I'm not, feeling the pheromones, right? I'm not feeling it. It should be okay to just hear that from someone, right? To be like, oh, like I'm not into that particular thing. It's pretty much the same as someone saying like, no one has to give you a reason to not be interested. I think it's just okay. And we need to get okay with that. We need to be able to be like, hey, I'm not feeling the chemistry here. That's okay. It's fine. It'd be really cool if we could get over that and not take it so like personally. Because as someone who is very, very picky about the people I do like, because I fucking hate everybody, and it takes a lot of work and energy for me to get over this deep misanthropic block that I have. When I do get over it, it's a really big deal. It doesn't mean that I don't like talking to people or engaging with them, but like there's an intimate space. We've talked about the bubble before, right? I've talked about the bubble. My bubble is small, and it is not a permeable bubble. It is a hard shell. And sometimes people can get in that bubble, but it's rare. And so I feel like it's not about giving people something to feel bad about. It's just about recognizing there's a lot of people in the world, and we can't be best friends with all of them. We can't love them all. So it's okay to just be like, yeah, you know what? Like, I like you. I don't like you like that. But there are other ways in which I can value you, which again bleeds right into that whole idea that there's only one actual real way to be important, right? Flirting is only important because we think that sex and romance are so fucking important. If we could use flirting as just like a fun alternate way to communicate, right? If we could be like, oh, well, this is my friend Dave, and Dave likes it when I speak English with him, and this is my friend Hiroshi, and Hiroshi and I speak Japanese to each other, and this is my friend, I'm trying to think of somebody that I flirt with a lot. I don't know. This is my friend Zeke, and Zeke and I flirt with each other a lot, or Sam, who I flirt with, and he stoically is like, I'm English. We flirt. It's like a language. It's part of our communication protocol. So I think that's the thing, right? Where it's like you want to be clear about this stuff. You want to be able to talk to the people that you like or the people you're getting to know, and to be comfortable just being like, oh my God, are we flirting right now? This is fun, right? And if they're like, yeah, I was feeling like, I'm not sure if we were, that was feeling weird, and you can laugh and you can enjoy that. There's this fucked up, very neurotypical idea that romance and flirting and stuff is just done a certain way, and that we should all just be naturally good at it. Or worse, if you're not good at it, then you have to like study. You have to practice. There's one way to do it, right? It usually involves leaning in, not folding your arms, eye contact, touching people without their permission. It's a whole disgusting thing, assuming there's only one way to flirt. So like, consider it a tool in your communication toolbox. Some people like the very normative model of flirting, and some people flirt other ways. Do not approach flirting like you are using it to get something, right? Flirting should be fun in and of itself. It should not be, I am flirting with you because I want to see you naked. It should be, I'm flirting with you because this is fun for both of us. Do that. Enjoy it for what it is, right? I know you can do that because you're so smart. So this is a thing we can do. We can understand, like, there are different ways to communicate with people, and we find the ones that work, and do not worry about there being an end goal. And if you are if you are oblivious to flirtation, it can be okay. You can laugh about that. You can say like, "Oh my God, you were flirting with me." I can't. My flirting radar is just so broken. So here's what you can do. Now, every time you think something nice about me, just say it. Just say it to my face. Do it. It's a challenge, right? You can play that game because it's a fun game to play. Like I like flirting with people when I'm capable of it. When I realize it's happening, I'm always like, "Oh my God, we're flirting. This is great." Like I'll get a text message and I'm like, "Ooh. Oh, this is a flirting text message. All right, what do I say?" I'm a much better flirt by text than I am in person. In person, I'm just like, my frill comes out and I hiss. I try really hard not to spit venom at people. It's a whole thing. But like a spicy text, woo, love it. So yeah, I mean, find the ways that you flirt best and then embrace those, and don't be afraid to just like be real with your feelings otherwise. To be able to sit down with people and be like, "Oh my God, okay, so I'm like, are you flirting with me? I'm bad at this. I'm sorry." and that's okay. It's just a part of who you are. It's fine. It's totally okay. And be comfortable just telling people like, I'm trying really hard to flirt with you right now. Like, is that okay? Okay, good. I'm going to keep trying. Tell me how I'm doing. Do we need scorecards? Right? Like you can make a game out of it, but make sure the person that you're flirting with wants that. And if you're not great at picking up cues, then just ask. Just ask. Consent. It's great. The sexiest thing anyone ever asked me was if I wanted to have sex with them. Because they knew the answer was yes, but they asked anyway. And I was like, yeah, fuck yes, I do. That would be great. Yes, of course I want you to make out with me. Do it. Oh my God, that's such a good idea. But it gave me the opportunity to say no, right? It gave me the opportunity to be like, you know what? I don't. I totally don't. Whereas had they just been like, "Cool, we're going to make out now," I might have been like, this is happening and I don't like it. But I might not have said anything because it's hard to, that's a whole other fucking thing. So anyway, do not fret about being a shitty flirt, because flirting is just one specific method of communication. And just like you don't need to be expected to speak every language on earth, you don't have to be good at flirting to get a relationship. You shouldn't be trying to get a relationship anyway. If it's fun for you, do it. If it's not, don't. And then just be open with people about how you feel. This has, of course, been episode number 18 of Hot for Teacher. I'm really glad that you were here for this. And I know that these episodes where we don't really plan what we're going to talk about are a little bit unstructured. They're a little bit weird, a little bit more rambling, but I hope that that's okay for you. I think I might be better as I improvise this shit than like planning it all. I'm certainly less cogent, but I hope that it has imparted some information to you. It's got you thinking about flirting and about social pressure in relationships and about being in them or not being in them and about whether or not you need to be a 10. Don't worry, everybody. You don't have to be Roberta. Now, if you have questions, like our three friends here, if you have questions, please submit them to me at www.adam-coble.com. Little Hot for Teacher link. Click that bad boy. Fill it out. Hit the button. And eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to get to your question. There are a lot of questions. We don't do this every week. We get at it as we get at it. We've been doing it a while. We're not even at 20 episodes yet because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I think that this is going to take the load off. It's going to make these episodes easier. And if I don't answer your question, it's probably because there's another question that is very similar. But when they all come down to it, the real questions are answered by talk to people you trust and care about your feelings and about their feelings, about all the feelings. Talk to people. Talk to a professional. Talk to an amateur. Engage in communication, just like we did today. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Talk to people. But more specifically, we'll be back in probably a couple of weeks to do another one of these. We'll talk more about relationships. I value our time together, chat. Thank you for coming. We will see you next time. This has been episode 18. I've been Adam Cole.